Hello, welcome to the February 13th school board meeting. We will start with a prayer if you'd like to join.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this lovely spring day, and we thank you for the folks that have joined us this evening. We ask that you watch over our teachers and staff and give this board the guidance to do what is right and just. And lastly, we ask you to watch over this meeting and the good people who have joined us here tonight. We pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. It's great to see a huge crowd here. We will start the meeting with recognitions.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. It is wonderful to see all of you here. Mrs. Gross was lobbying for us to start with finance since we had such a great crowd, but the board outvoted her. Now, it was close, but they thought you weren't here to hear about finance. Is that true? Yeah, you think so? Well, then, I'll tell you what, we'll do what we normally do, and we'll start with individual student growth. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. Anna Farley, if you would please come forward. You're welcome to bring anybody with you that you like. Anna Farley is a second grader at Northwood Elementary, and she took on a project to raise funds to pay off school lunch debt at Northwood. Anna and her mother, Julie Farley, peeled the labels off of crayons, crushed them, and put the pieces into molds. The crayons were melted, creating Anna's creations. She would then sell them for $1 each, except for the owls, which is the Northwood mascot. They were 50 cents. With her creations, Anna has raised over $100 for school lunches. Please join me in thanking Anna.
Anna, we're going to ask you a couple of questions. Did you bring some of your samples? All right. Pull a couple out so we can see them. Oh, this is a big one. It didn't know fully. Is it a robot? That's awesome.
It's a Lego.
A Lego. That is great. Hey, tonight your mom helped you do this project. You want to introduce your parents today? Tell them thank you.
Thank you.
So what made you decide to raise money to help pay off school lunches?
I just really had the idea. I wanted to make money for the family. Then me and my mom thought of a better idea.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for giving back to Northwood. And we have a correction. Our mathematician need to move the decimal over. It's $1,000 she has raised. Well done. We're going to get a picture now. And just like all the kids here, this is really the reason why you're in attendance, right? For the pencil? Is that right? Maybe. Here you go. Here's your pencil. And we'll get a picture.
Great job, Anna. Great job. Our Indiana Academic Science Bowl. Way to go. Great job this year. Creekside Elementary and Needham Elementary placed in the state top 10 with their coaches. And those students, please go ahead and come forward. Creekside and Needham Elementary, top 10 in the Science Bowl. Lots of green and purple. We do. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you for joining us this evening. I think when you picked up your certificate, Dr. Clendenning, who's handing out your pencils, he told you would need to introduce who's with you tonight. All right? Do you remember? Are you ready? Tell us who you are and who, and you're all like, no, wait. And tell us who came with you this evening. Are you ready? You have to say it.
My name is Ivy, and I brought my parents. They're over there. My mom and dad. My name is Emma, and I brought my parents and my grandma.
My name is Chauncey, and I brought my parents and my grandma.
My name's Jaylee, and I brought my Nana and my Papa and Elena.
My name's Grayson, and I brought my mom, dad, grandpa, and uncle, and Papa and grandma. My name is Quinn, and I brought my dad and my mom.
My name is Grace, and I brought my mother.
My name is Reese, and I brought my parents.
My name is Matthew. I brought my mom and my grams.
My name's Zaire, and I brought my parents.
My name is Sophia, and I brought my mother.
Have all of you gone? You don't want to? Do you want to tell me who you are? What's your name? What's your name? Derek. What's your name? Derek, and he brought Mom. Who else? Dad. Yeah, your stepdad. Can you wave? Yay! Thanks for coming.
My name is Hazel, and I brought my mom. My name is Allie, and I brought my mom. My name is Callie, and I brought my dad.
I'm Mrs. Dunn, and I just wanted to tell this group again how proud I am of you guys. In my 4 years of coaching Science Bowl, I think this is by far the hardest topic we've had to do. And they worked really hard. I know all 3 schools did over the last couple of months, so everyone here is very proud of you. So good job.
My name is Hattie. I brought my mom, dad, and brother.
My name is Emery, and I brought my mom and dad.
My name is Kim, and I brought my mom and dad.
My name is Jackson, and I brought my mom and dad and sister.
My name is Dyson, and I brought my mom, dad, sister, uncle, Mama, and Papa.
My name is Augustus. You can shorten that down to Gus if you wish. I brought my mom and dad. Their names are Latoya and Chris Lanham.
My name's Colin, and I brought my mom named Tracy.
My name's Xander, and I brought my dad named Kyle.
My name is Braylon, and I brought my mom, and her name is Jamie.
My name's Mrs. McCain, and I'm really proud of them. They did an awesome job.
My name's Mrs. Barnett, and again, I would second that. Really hard stuff, but you did a great job.
All right, so we're going to get one big group picture. So we got to squeeze in. Dr. Hayden and Mr. Purley, you're more than welcome to come up and become part of the crowd. There he goes. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Congrats, nice job, congratulations. And in the midst of all that scientific brilliance, we're going to add another one to the mix. If the Webb Elementary Science Bowl team could please come forward, our Science Bowl state champs for Webb Elementary. After you receive your pencil from Dr. Clendenning, I'm going to start down here on this side. Please introduce yourself and let us know who you brought with us this evening.
My name is Logan, and I brought my mom, dad, and my 2 sisters.
My name is Kira Lucas, and I brought my dad, my brother, my mom, my uncle, and my aunt.
My name is Elliot, and I brought my mom.
My name's Bentley, and I brought my mom and dad.
My name is Brayden, and I brought my grandma.
My name's Rudra, and I brought my mom named Sheetal Patel.
My name is Saskia, and I brought my mom and my dad.
My name's Riley, and I brought my parents and my brother.
My name's Abby, and I brought my mom and my sister.
I'm Mrs. Andrews, and I'm very, very proud of how hard they worked.
So as the state champs, what was the, well, who wants to talk? I know one of you loves, oh, Bentley, you get to talk, all right. What was the toughest question you guys had to answer?
There's so many.
Just pick one.
Yeah, the CD one. Trying to remember.
Wait, I don't know.
Oh, I think it was what was it? What is one thing that turns? Logan knows.
Okay.
It was what does not turn electrical energy to mechanical energy. Everybody thought it was CD players, but I changed them and got it corrected with a windmill.
Well, congratulations. Well, being state champs, we'll look forward to having that continued success all the way to Mrs. 4-Acre Science team as you guys move forward, okay? And with that, I know Mr. Zook's here. He's right there. We'll have him jump in here, and we'll get one group picture. Well done, everyone. Congratulations.
Great job. Excellent work. Central 9 Students of the Month. Congratulations to our January Central 9 Students of the Month. Mia Herbert. Is Mia with us this evening? Mia, congratulations. Mia is in aviation operations. Also, Joshua Brown is our other Central 9 Student of the Month. Joshua is studying auto collision repair. Please join me in congratulating this excellence.
So I'm in the aviation program, so basically I learn the basics of a entry-level college class. So we learn about engines, we've done turbo engines, we're learning about weather right now, and we also learn about the jobs at the very beginning.
And what do you want to do with your aviation degree?
I want to become a pilot.
Outstanding. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did anybody come with you tonight?
My mom and my sister.
All right. Well, thank you. And we're going to get a picture here.
Welding Career Development Event, and this is through our ag program at the high school. I think this is kind of exciting. It's a new one. The career development events through the Indiana FFA mirror real-world career skills. We had 2 of our high school FFA students participate in a career development welding event. Brooklyn Skaggs, Brooklyn, if you're here, please come forward. Excellent. Placed first individually at the district level. And Leland Strain, if Leland's here, please come forward. Placed 7th individually at the district level. As a team then, they placed 2nd overall. This qualified them to move on to the state level where they placed 22nd. Please join me in congratulating these students on an excellent job. Well done.
Mr. Vado, will you come down here with us? He's our advisor, and we wouldn't be here without him. I mean, I did not know a thing about welding before I was an FFA, and he taught me everything. So, for the competition, we had to do a lot of practicing. We had to do butt welds, lap welds, and vertical ups. The hardest one for me was definitely vertical ups because you had to create a bead upward and it wanted to fall down, so you had to have the right temperature, right technique, and it took a while to get it right, and I didn't even get it right. I just... Yeah, my grandpa brought me today.
Me personally, I would have to say that the hardest thing about the contest was going, because you would go and forget everything. Yes, I have a couple of family members that have came with me today.
Congratulations. Nice work. We have another first for us this evening. If the women on the girls wrestling regional and state qualifiers would go ahead and please come forward. And the coaches. The coaches are here, if the coach is here this evening. The girls and the coaches of the wrestling team, we had 5 high school girls that qualified to compete at the first ever Indiana High School Girls Wrestling Tournament. When I call your name, please just take a step forward so we know who you are. Avery Reynolds, Ayla Stevenson, Anna Arena, Jocelyn Diaz-Avalos, and Emily Ekrit. Placing, yes, great, round of applause, please. Placing in the top 8 were Ayla Stevenson in the 113-pound weight class and Jocelyn Diaz-Avalos in the 145-pound division. It has been a successful first season for this team. Coach Tante is doing a great job of providing leadership within this program. Please join me in a round of applause congratulating this women on a great job. Well done.
I'm Avery Reynolds. I wrestle in the 98 weight class, and I'm here with my mom.
I'm Ana Paula. I wrestle 126 weight class, and I'm here with my host mom.
I'm Ayla Stevenson. I wrestle 113, and I'm here with my mother.
Kind of nervous. Oh, just shake it off right now. I'm sweating. My name's Jasleen, and I go 145 weight class, and I brought my madre here, Mom.
I had a chance to watch a couple of different matches. We had a Friday night event where we hosted, how many teams from the state? We were the southern part of Indiana's regional wrestling, and so there were 100 and some girls here, and it was very exciting to see the wrestlers on the mat. The big difference that I noticed between the girls and the boys, when the girls finish, they kind of still shake the other person's hand, it's okay. The boys, not so much. But they did a great job, and then in Mooresville at the state championships, it was fun to watch the parade of athletes. And I think we had one of the largest teams in contention, and you guys did a great job. So we're all proud of you and way to be pioneers and trendsetters, and we'll look forward to having you back next year. Coach, you want to say anything?
I just want to thank you all for this opportunity for us to recognize that girls wrestling is an emerging sport for the IHSAA that's really important for young women. And we were trailblazers for sure. If you watch the Rafael Sanchez article on our program, I'm proud to be part of that.
My name is Rena, and I wrestled 132 pounds.
My name is Lily, I wrestle 152.
My name's Sam, I wrestle 138.
My name is Sophie Taylor, and I wrestled 220.
My name's Maddie Lowe, I wrestled 170.
You guys already know what my weight class is.
I'm Victoria, and I also wrestle 152.
I'm Rachel, and I wrestle 132.
I'm Bree, and I wrestle 182.
I'm Scarlett. I wrestled a lot of weight classes, but I mainly did 126.
Congratulations. Great job. Let's get 2 rows.
Congratulations, great job. Sounds like they had a lot of fun. And our final recognition this evening is our football academic all-state. If you are one of the following, please come forward as I say your name. Congratulations to our football academic all-state recipients, and they are Reese Byerly. Yes, clap, celebrate. Way to go, Reese. Nice job. This is great. Max Clark. Nate Owens. Zach Reese. Oh, I did. I skipped it. And Bryce Richardson. Excellent job, gentlemen. Congratulations.
Well done, gentlemen. We're going to have you introduce yourselves, talk about your future plans, where you're headed next year, and just want to say thank you for being great student scholars. It's great.
My name is Reese Byerly, and I am going to Marion University next year.
My name is Nate Owens, and I'm undecided where I'm going, just to know I'm going to business school, though.
My name is Zach Reese. I actually committed to DePaul today.
My name is Bryce Richardson, and I plan on being a firefighter, and I want to do a little bit of welding.
Ready to picture here. Thank you very much.
So I made a mistake, and I'm so sorry. That was not the end. We have one more group. No one tell my spouse, who ran cross country for lots of years, that I skipped cross country. We had 3 of our middle school students compete at Indiana Middle School Cross Country Championships this year. Those 3 students were Emma Small, Liam Fenning, and Brooks Huddleston. Please come forward. In addition, participating at the USA Track and Field National Cross Country Championships were the following four, some of whom are already with us: Liam Fenning, Brooks Huddleston, Phoenix Hogue Mills, and Jacob Hoskins. If you're with us, please come forward. Please join me in congratulating these outstanding athletes.
I know most of us think cross country is a summer fall event, but I know that they ran all the way into December, if I'm not mistaken, right? When you guys went to Texas, the Chicago meet was a little chilly, if I'm understanding correct. Is that right? What was the weather when you guys were out in Chicago? Windy and snowy. 15? 15 degrees and windy, so they had a lot of fun. But congratulations that this team has a bright future as we head up. I know the high school coaches are looking forward to it. Some of them are already running with the high school kids, and that's pretty exciting. So well done and congratulations. We're going to have you introduce yourselves, and we'll get one picture, please.
Hello, I'm Phoenix Hogue Mills. I'm here with my parents.
My name is Emma Small, and I'm here with my mom.
Hello, my name is Liam Finning, and I'm here with my mom and dad and my sister.
Hi, my name is Brooks, and I'm here with my mom and my brother.
My name is Jake Hoskins. I'm here with my parents and my brother.
Congratulations. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to our coaches, our teachers, our administrators, and our parents for making this all possible. So great job to all of our students.
I think they've got it.
We just don't want to deal with it. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. I mean, it's not like she's trying to work.
No, not yet.
All right.
So we got a picture.
Oh, is there a picture going on down there? Sorry.
That was great. Oh, heck.
Well, I'm really sad that everybody didn't stay for the business part of the meeting.
It's a good time.
Tina, we did try.
Okay, we will move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or anything? additions?
I have a couple highlights. Go ahead.
I was just going to say a comment for me is there in the personnel report highlights Mrs. Lizelle is retiring after 19 years. I want to thank her for her years of service. My boys had her here at the middle school, so sorry to see her move on, but I wish her well in her new endeavors.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Two different things on the overnight field trips. The first one here is for the high school girls lacrosse team. This is the first event that they've traveled. They'll be traveling to South Gibson to participate in 2 events. One, obviously, they're staying overnight because of the distance down by Evansville. The choir is actually heading to Ohio, and it's just over the state line, so that's why you're seeing that they are not spending the night. It's just out of state on this one. And then BPA continues to do well, and they have an event in Indianapolis. The other thing I'd like to highlight on the donations, we had an anonymous donor for $1,000 for food for the program to help reduce some of the cost of the unpaid charges. We're starting to see a substantial amount in that account in the red. And I believe it's up to around $7,000. And going back historically, that's probably the highest we've had. And so just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that. We've done a couple different things. We were able to pay some of it down for free and reduced students, for the reduced students, but it's still a substantial amount of money.
Is that something that we can discuss further then?
Anna probably needs to be in charge of this, right? Like Dr. Clendenning said, we can cover some of the reduced balances with federal funds, but we're not allowed to use federal funds to cover self-pay. So that's something that we'll have to satisfy the balances with operating funds.
So do parents set up like a payment plan, or is that how they do?
They could, definitely. They can just pay it down over time. Historically, we haven't sent those accounts to collections, but that's something you can think about as well.
Okay.
Are there any repercussions on the students if, like, say they're a graduating senior and they don't have that account paid?
Historically, we haven't done
that. I just wondered.
Yeah, we're not allowed to withhold if a senior comes and they haven't paid, they still get their diploma.
Sure. Good.
But I think, we can explore a lot of options, and I would agree, historically, we've not taken them to collections, but that could be something we could look at. Once again, this is the largest number that we've had.
And students they still get something to eat.
We're still giving a lunch, correct?
Right.
Yeah, they get regular lunch. We used to provide a peanut butter sandwich and a fruit or something, but we stopped doing that a few years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, just one more thing on the lunch accounts. I just had a question. How does that adversely affect just that whole budget on that end of because they're their own entity, so how does that affect them?
Well, since we can't absorb those balances into their financials, so it's still counted as revenue as far as that goes.
For them, but are there things that they can't purchase, or they can't because they're not getting the money that they need? Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm asking?
Sorry.
So they're in the whole $7,000 are in the red for that. So are there things that they need for the cafeterias or for the students for lunch things that they cannot purchase because?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not affecting the day-to-day operations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so can I get a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll move for approval.
Second. Go ahead.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving along to the superintendent reports. The referendum dashboard update. Tina.
Yes. So every year, I commit to reporting to the board how the previous year referendum spend played out. If you recall, in 2019, the taxpayers voted to approve a referendum of 23 cents. We committed to taxpayers that we would focus on teacher salaries, support staff salaries, and mental health and safety with those dollars. The 2022 year-end revenue and expenditures are shown on the next slide. We had total revenues of $4.8 million. We had a total spend of just under $4.7 million, so we had remaining funds of $133,000, which was 3% of those revenues. So this has gotten better and better each year as we've identified what programming and what staffing we needed. So we have pretty much allocated all of the dollars in 2023. The next slide shows a graph of the distribution of those funds. In 2020, we used just under $1.9 million for teacher salaries, just over $2 million in support staff salaries, and $726,000 in mental health and safety, for a total referendum spend of just under $4.7 million. And as you can see, for 2023, we have allocated every dollar that we are projecting to receive. Any questions on that, Jake?
Yeah, what were some of the examples of the mental health and safety? What was that money spent on?
Those dollars go towards the mental health specialists that are in each building. We have hired at least 2 more SROs with those funds. Let's see. Oh, here we go. We've got SROs, the dean at CBIS, and an athletic trainer at the middle school for safety purposes. And then for 2023, we've added another mental health support person for the alternative ed program.
Do the dogs,
Yes.
do those fall into that too?
They do. Thank you, Becky. I didn't scroll down far enough. We've got some software in there on the mental health side, and then the therapy dogs, both the training, the supplies, and their vet bills all fall under the referendum.
Is the breakdown for 23 going to be pretty similar to 22?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Will the breakdown in 23 be similar to how the breakdown is in 22?
For the dogs?
No, for overall.
For overall. I think we'll probably focus a little more on the teacher salaries this year. Okay. In order to kind of, we kind of alternate with support staff and teachers on the referendum each year. So okay. Kind of even things out to maybe $2 million on each side.
Okay, we will go to the action items. Are there any public comments on anything that's an action item? Okay. Union Elementary Community Engagement Process and Letter of Engagement.
Yes, thank you. Here tonight we have Smith and Associates, and they're going to talk to us about kind of the next phase for us as we look at remodeling Union Elementary and some other projects. And a big part of that, if you remember during their presentation, was community engagement, getting feedback from the community, what expectations, and that's for all the community. That's a Union, Franklin, and Needham Township. So tonight, we're here to hear from them about what they expect. We have Kevin Shelley with us, and we have Anna Burrell, and they both have talked to you before, and tonight they're going to kind of walk through their process. They do have a handout, and we're just excited about the opportunities that are before us with this project. Can you hold the mic up just a little bit closer? You can take it off the stand if you'd like. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So yes, we'll start the process. It's really more of a 10-month process. It takes us to the end of the year. We're going to get every opportunity to get engagement. We begin to explore what is the future of Union Elementary and really just understand it's a really nice slate. We want to listen and understand and then develop some options. So what we're really looking at here, you're going to see is the community understands what we're going to do. It's a little 4-step process. We'll start right out of the gate here in March, where it's just March, April, listening. We're trying to put this spring break together with several opportunities for each school, community union, our community, to get input what they see as the vision for that area of the district. And then once we take a break for summer, the order giving will be that time here. And right after that, we'll start the process where we'll start referencing what the options that you from all the things we've heard, developing options, exploring what the cost implications, listening to our understanding, from a budget standpoint, what are all the things you need to know to make a good decision. So the goal will be, as we get through October, November, we'll have several options to go to the board to look at, make a decision so that we can move forward in December, what is going to be the future. So all that process is listening, develop those options. Questions from you before we see?
I'm thinking it might be during this phase 1. Will there be opportunities for community members to come in and actually look at the building, like do a tour, sort of like what we did, and see some of those problem areas that we're concerned about?
Yes. I think we actually would find a specific date for that as we look at this specific date.
I think that would be helpful. Any questions?
No, looking forward to it.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you. And this is an action item tonight.
Okay.
So we're actually asking for approval to begin the community engagement process.
I'll move for approval.
Second?
All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it passes. The next one is the resolution to give Dr. Clendening the authority to vote the dissolution of the Earlywood Services Joint Service Cooperative.
Thank you. For the past 50 years, Earlywood Educational Services has been our interlocal agreement for special education. Due to different visions and opportunities that are before us, I'm asking the board to give me the authority in an upcoming March board meeting to vote Franklin's position to dissolve the interlocal agreement. During that time, it is believed that all 6 corporations will vote the same, and we'll begin that journey that's going to take 18 months to complete as we dissolve Earlywood. And some of those things that are going to take place during that time, we're going to need time to plan and program what that looks like for us. As you know, we have many students attending New Connections, which is a least restricted environment for our kids when they're not as successful in our setting. We also have many of their staff members in our buildings, from speech to OTPT, the school psychs, all those different people and personnel need a place to land. And so over the next several months, we'll be doing that. One move that I'd like to recommend that we make early is we're going to move Jen Scott, Mrs. Scott, up to an executive director position. She'll oversee all of our special education services. And then in addition, we're making a recommendation to move Mrs. Korake under that position, and she'll help with the K-6 side of special education. We need this to begin as soon as possible so that we have time to meet with IEPs. And as you know, our special education numbers continue to climb. We're up to about 1,032, 34 students in our December 1 count. So this will be a substantial program shift as we move forward. Today, Mrs. Scott, Ms. Gross, and I traveled to Perry Township to see the RISE Learning Center, and this might be an option for us to join them, and they would help with a similar place for the new connection. Right now, we're just not in any position to have New Connection as a safe learning environment back for those students. And so I think we looked at RISE as a potential option for that. You'll hear more about that in the future. But today, I'm asking for the authority that in the March meeting, we can vote yes to dissolve and then come back to you and continue to give information to the board as we travel forward. I'm happy to any questions about the process and the opportunities that I see before us, as well as Mrs. Scott is here in attendance, and she can weigh in as well.
I think the only question I had is that at that point that it's dissolved, you said that it would be roughly 18 months. Mm-hmm. How do we ensure that there's no reduction in service for our kids, that there's no gaps?
Yep. We're going to look to Mrs. Scott to make sure that doesn't take place. And obviously the IEPs dictate that, right?
Yep.
We have to ensure that best learning environment for all of our students, so that will take place. In addition, I didn't include this, but obviously Mr. Young, as our legal counsel, will be walking alongside us as well. Legal counsel for Earlywood is Churchill and Antrim, Amy Matthews, and so she did meet to kind of talk about that. I will tell you, one of the conversation points that's before us, not only educationally, is the property. The property resides in Franklin Schools. And so what happens to that property as we dissolve? And so that's another conversation point along the way that we've obviously engaged. We did have, Roger, help me out, the appraiser that we use. What's the appraiser that we use?
Steve Graves.
Yes. He just evaluated it again, and we're looking for a second one. Really, the property has many issues. The building has many issues. The property is going to come back with a very little value. So we'll have that conversation, but that's where we'll engage. But as far as our kids educationally, IEP will be driven. I will tell you we're concerned about staffing. If you look across the board, it's already a concern with just in special education. We don't have enough teachers. So that's another reason why we need to make sure that if we're going to partner with someone like RISE, that we will have those in place. Dr. Warland and I met, as well as with Ms. Scott, with the Earlywood staff that touches our kids here in our district. And we spent about 90 minutes trying to answer as many questions as possible about the journey. And that was one of them they also were concerned about. Like, they don't want to walk away from the kids. They want to make sure they have a good educational experience. And what does that look like? And so we tried to alleviate as many fears as possible. But I will tell you, it's probably only a tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of questions, a lot of anxiety right now, and this step will at least allow them to see one clearer picture. One of the things that we're looking to do in March is to offer intent to employ letters for all those people that are with the association up at Earlywood, so they know they have a landing spot. And there are some that share districts, so we may share with Edinburgh, whatever, and that still has to be worked out. But all certified staff will have an opportunity to be employed.
And then one other question, is that Earlywood building, is it considered a school?
Yes, if the property upon which it is built is in the name of the school corporation, and if there are no leases or other agreements relating, in the absence of any written any writing to the contrary, it would be considered property of the school corporation.
Okay.
I've not examined the documents to see if there is language in any of the documents that make the building itself jointly owned by all participants, so I don't know. And I wouldn't be able to answer that question until I looked over all the documents,
Sure.
which
I-
you're just starting, that's why I haven't seen it yet,
Right.
as you're not.
Yeah, I guess where I was leading to is that if, depending on how we exit that, is that one that a charter school could go in and,
It would be.
okay,
It would be. And that would be the case regardless of who owns the building, whether it's just one school corporation or a number of school corporations collectively. It's still a school building,
right,
a public school building.
yeah,
So, yeah, charter schools get first shot at it.
okay.
And/or state universities. I will
Correct.
tell you, Ivy Tech would
Correct.
be one that would also maybe consider that 31 corridor. But I think looking at some options for us, that may be some things we want to consider as well. And that's where we're going to bring Mr. Young in, as well as Mrs. Matthews, to help us discern everything and move forward with that. The property is on 6.6 acres. A little over 3 of the acres is just undeveloped ground. The remaining 3.6 is asphalt in the building. And so those are some of those things that obviously Roger will be able to look at to help us in that information for us. In addition, we will be receiving all of our federal dollars back. Presently, Earlywood takes all of Part B. And so we're looking at just a little under $4 million that will come back in. I know that Ms. Gross is really excited about having some additional accounts to take responsibility for, and so we will probably have to add to our business department as we travel forward. We need somebody to kind of help oversee that. Now, obviously, as Mrs. Corrick moves over and helps, and Jen oversees all of it, then we'll have that piece. But business is going to need help, as well as we may HR some additional responsibilities with HR as we look at all the different programs and federal requirements that are part of special education.
I would just add, Ms. Scott and I met on Friday and started the process of identifying how many of those full-time certified staff we need to bring into our school corporation to serve those students. So we will have more information by the retreat, and we've got about an hour scheduled during the retreat to talk about Earlywood and what additional steps and decisions we'll have to make later in the year. The RISE facility was pretty impressive today, so I think that would definitely, Mr. Lamb, you were talking about gaps.
Yeah.
That would definitely give us a plan B when necessary, so that'll mediate some of the risk, I think.
Additionally, Dr. Worland will have a strong voice in the curriculum instruction piece as well, which is something right now with the Earlywood, we were part of it, but it's not to the extent of us really having that lead conversation. So it's another positive in this journey as we travel forward. So there's definitely some concerns, but I think overall, and speaking as a superintendent, I'm excited about our journey in this. I think our kids will get a great education. I look forward to Mrs. Scott leading the journey here for our kids, and I do think it's going to be a good move.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Just space-wise, is this going to cram anybody? Like elementaries are pretty full right now. I mean, is that going to affect that in any way?
How many kids do we send to Earlywood?
Presently, we have 11 students and 4 at Rice. I will tell you, that's correct. But when you start looking at our special education numbers have grown, and we look at some of the behaviors and different things that are rising, then yes, because you're correct, our elementary spaces are full. Developmental preschool continues to see large numbers. I think we are at plus 60, is that right? I'm looking at pushing 80. And so when you're looking at that number for developmental preschool, and then we still have our own preschool program, and then you throw in some additionals. We will be tight on space. Additionally, those rooms need reinforcement in some places. They need opportunities for calm down spaces and some rooms that get the kids away from everybody to keep them safe as well as the other students safe. Those are things we do not have right now. So that would be an additional cost. So that's where RISE, I think, comes into play. And it was pretty exciting to see what they're doing. And that is a good environment for those students. We have used RISE in the past. We have 4 students up there right now. I felt very encouraged about that move. So space is limited as we continue to move forward, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? Okay, I'll need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Okay, that passes. We'll go on to the release of the high school real estate from trust indenture and to authorize conveyance of released real estate to City of Franklin. Roger.
Mr. Young, would you please take this one?
Are we going to hear a presentation from Crossroads tonight, Jeff?
We are not.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure how much information's been provided. I seem to recall a presentation made several meetings ago. City of Franklin wants to do an intersection improvement out on Commerce Drive at the entrance to the high school. All of the high school property is pledged to secure the bonds that were sold to raise the money to build the high school. Therefore, and the title to the property, including the roundabout property, is still in the name of the building corporation. In order to induce the trustee to release that small piece of property from the trust indenture, it is necessary that both the building corporation and the school corporation adopt a resolution determining that that piece of land is no longer necessary for school purposes. Now, it is, obviously, because that's one of the ways you get into the high school, but it is not necessary in the sense that releasing it would have an adverse effect on the security provided to the bondholders. And in fact, obviously, improving that intersection would only enhance the value of the security. The building corporation has already executed their resolution. What you have before you tonight is your resolution. And again, it simply determines that the property to be released is no longer needed for school purposes. Adopting this resolution will do nothing more than communicate to the trustee what the resolution says. We don't need it for school purposes. The trustee then will decide whether to release the property. I have no reason to think that the trustee won't. The trustee will then send a release to me to be recorded. At that point in time, I can record a deed from the building corporation to the school corporation, deeding that piece to the school corporation. Hopefully the release can be obtained and recorded prior to your March meeting, so that at your March meeting, you may very well see an action item on the agenda authorizing conveying that property or granting a permanent right-of-way over the property to the City of Franklin. I don't know if Crossroads intends to be present that night to make a presentation. I guess we'll leave that up to Crossroads. But that's what's before you tonight. It's simply a resolution that will allow the trustee to release the property so it can ultimately be deeded back to the school corporation. At that point, the school board will decide what the next step should be.
Okay, thank you.
If you recall on the diagram, it goes towards the signage and then it comes back around. That's the area that we're talking about. And we can have Crossroads here in March to highlight that again. But after conferencing with Mr. Sewell, I agree, we should look to donate that because the cost of building the structure for Mayor's Youth Council is going to be substantial, and I think they're trying to do everything they can to them taking care of a big portion of that. So I think it would be very, very nice of us to go ahead and just look to donate the land.
That's not included in any of this
No,
evening?
no, it's not.
That'll be a different time?
That'll be different.
Okay. Okay.
So, Roger, we in prior months, we had to approve the easement for the sewer project. So in doing this, have we conflicted with that?
No, all you did with the sewers was grant an easement.
Right.
You still own the property. This is actually dedicating a right-of-way, which is the equivalent of actually deeding the property.
Right.
But granting an easement for a public utility does not violate any of the warranties, representations, and commitments that have been made in the trust indenture.
Okay.
It is essentially just a part of the development of the property for the purpose for which it was intended to be used.
All right.
That's a long answer.
No, that's good.
No
Yeah.
conflict.
Great. Okay.
Mr. Sewell, in March, can you have a timeline developed if Trent cannot be here? In addition, please remind the board of the timeline for the sewer project because we're going to be quite congested, I think, at the high school this summer, and I'm sure Mr. Ahaus would like to know what he needs to tell his people that are there in the summer.
Okay, any other questions about this? Okay, we have a motion.
I'll move to approve.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, well, that one passed. We will go to the resolution to transfer education fund to operations. Tina.
So you're probably thinking, didn't I approve this last month? So when I went back and handed the resolution to my deputy treasurer, she said, I don't think you can do that because the request was to transfer directly from the education fund to rainy day, which we cannot do. So the resolutions before you are to transfer from education to operations and then from operations to rainy day. And we will be in compliance with Indiana code that way. I will point out that we stopped doing transfers the last 3 months of 2022. And the reason was we were anticipating taking that money instead and transferring it to rainy day. So we're still under that 15% limitation, and this just cleans it up and makes it compliant.
And I realize this may seem like a sneaky way of making an end run around what appears to be a statute that says you shall not. However, this process was recommended, and I came up with it with the assistance of the Indiana State Board of Accounts. So when I read the statutes, I believed that this could be done. But because it, looked a little questionable, I wanted to make absolutely sure that the State Board of Accounts would not take any exception to this. And when I spoke with them and talked to them about it, they said, yes, we will not take exception to this on our audit. So it may seem a little irregular, and it may be, but it's legal.
After 4 years, I'm still learning something every day.
Roger, can we bundle E and F together, or would you like us to do them separately?
I'd rather see them done separately, please. One after, sequentially.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so E, have a motion?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And then F, a motion?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, those two pass. And then the resolution authorizing the purchase of the high school dishwasher.
Okay, we were finally able to get that sealed bid process done, and we are recommending that Central Restaurant Products receive this contract for $234,112.56. They were the best and lowest bidder out of two. So we are requesting the board's authorization to move forward, and that will be a summer installation.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, it passes. We will go on to discussion items, ROTC.
Well, I am really excited about this next topic. As you recall back when we did the strategic plan, we listed several different new potential opportunities and pathways, and JROTC was one of them. And over the last several months, we've had an opportunity to explore that potential starting in 24-25. And before you, you have a folder that talks about the different opportunities with JROTC. Earlier this week, Mr. Ahaus, Dr. Warren and I sat through a presentation from Lieutenant Colonel Dave Rissler and also Lieutenant Colonel Kopp, who is one of our parents. And he, Lieutenant Colonel Kopp, is also the person overseeing the ROTC program at the present time. And they have an opportunity to expand the number of JROTC programs throughout the nation by 250. And that's a big number when usually it's a very small number. Back in, I think, 2017, Steve, or 18, they looked at this, and I think they said, the pipeline was very clogged and we didn't really have a chance. We now have a very good chance to put forth an application and have a program beginning in 24-25. A few of the highlights and requirements for us. One is that we would agree to pay half the salary of both the two instructors. And I cannot give you a specific amount of money on the salaries because it would be determined on who applies, and they have to be retired Army officers. And so and you'll see in your packet a sample of what that could look like. Additionally, we have to provide them a specific room and a supply room at the high school during the application process, so that when they would do a visit or whatever, they would see that would be dedicated to them. Because in turn, they give us several $1,000s worth of equipment and uniforms that the students would use, and that's where they have to go in this supply area and a set classroom. The instructors would be full-time if we do get the program, and the students could participate for all 4 years in the program of JROTC. The number one mission of a JROTC program is to create better citizens. That's the number one mission. They said they actually are a very poor recruiting mission. That's not their intent. Their intent is to create better citizens and better leaders. And there's a lot of opportunities. I know Mr. Ahaus did ask about what if a student moved in, could they still have an opportunity to get into the program? And the absolutely answer is yes. So I think there's a lot of exciting opportunities for us. Next month, they will be here with us as an action item to come in and talk more in detail. But today, I just want to introduce it. Dr. Warren, anything else that you'd like to add? Mr. Ahaus? I think all three of us were very pleased with the opportunity and this possibility, you know, being close to Atterbury and the different families that we touch. And I can speak from a dad who has a son in the service, just the opportunities that this could be afforded as a student, both in a career path as well as just continuing to grow and be a better student and a better citizen is just really exciting for us.
Are there other school districts that you know of that have this program?
Yes, so thank you. Right now, Marion High School is the one they pointed us to as far as probably the best in the state with the JROTC program. Martinsville has their application in, and they are doing a program called STAR, which is something that we could do next year to help introduce. And then he did say Center Grove is looking at it as well. And so, but Marion was the one that they suggested. Also, Blackford has been doing the program for us as a smaller school district, and he mentioned us to call them for references if we wanted to see anything. A lot of extracurricular opportunities as well could come to the students, from color guard at any of the events and games. They also have a competitive air rifle program that the students would you know, be trained and then shoot the air pellets for competition. There were two others. Do you remember? Steve, do you remember the other extracurriculars? Those were the two that kind of stuck out, you know, as we look at opportunities, you know, for kids to see, you know, what it means to be just a better citizen and get ready. And this could be a future career path for you. So. Brooke just reminded me that they remembered, said that, you know, right now this is pretty of a desert area. There are not many programs, so our kids would be able to really benefit from this. I'm excited. I think it would be a great opportunity for us. You know, so hopefully the board will, if you have questions over the next month, please get them to me. We'll begin that. I have asked Steve to look at the application. It does need to, Steve will have to, Mr. Ahaus will be the one that will apply for this because it is a high school program. There may be some opportunities for kids at the middle school to kind of see and be exposed to it, but the participation really starts in grade 9 through 12.
So when are you looking at it to start in the fall?
We would apply in the next 30 days. And then would start in the school year 24-25. So we have one more school year.
Okay. And did you say that possibly before then they could come and like be guest speakers in a teacher's class? In the leadership class. So presently Mr. Powers has a leadership class, and that's a possibility where they would come and, you know, be guest speakers and do different things. This also counts as a PE credit for students because of the drill and practice and different things that they do.
So the gentleman that's retired that runs this, he has a pot of money. What's that application process like? So I have a hard time believing that the federal government moves so quick that they're going to get us funding for next year. You know, that if we get it,
they will not get it to us next year. That's why I said it's a year out.
Yeah.
So that, but they did say that the money, it's Fort Knox is the region that we're in.
Okay.
And that's where the actual commander is located for the JRTC program. And he said that there is that 250 number, and because we're in a desert area, we have a really good chance. So that's what he said. Okay. They were very favorable with that and opportunities that we could have. I actually was first approached during Veterans Day program about this potential, so I met with him right before Christmas, and then brought Mr. Ahaus in and Dr. Orland in for the conversation as well, and then coming to you now.
All right. Next item are first reading of policies.
Mr. Sappenfield was duly baptized.
That's a lot of
with policies. There are a couple that I do want to highlight. We called upon Mr. Young, as we normally do when we have ones that are one that cause us to think in new state law. A new state law came out last year with regard to transgender athletes not being able to participate in women's sports. The state law did say that schools must develop a grievance process in which, if a parent felt like there was some violation of the law, the school would be the first step in that grievance process. So today you see in policy number 2432 our first reading of that grievance process. And this is not for a person that, this is for a parent who believes that their daughter participated against a transgender athlete. Okay, that's what it looks. We did ask Mr. Young to look at the policy after it was sent to us from Neola. He did, and I believe this fits well with the policy structure that the state wanted it.
It's interesting. I not only, researched the law, the case that you might have heard about that addressed that, there was I believe, preliminary injunction issued at the trial court level. The student no longer was in that school district, so the court dismissed it as moot. So that order, it's not a decision, and so we'll call it an order, was effective only as to the parties and does not amount to a controlling precedent for the state of Indiana. So the law is still facially constitutional. There are some interesting twists to it, and I'll be very brief. The way it's written, it says a parent or a student may file a lawsuit. It doesn't limit parent or student to the school district that it's filing a lawsuit against. It could just as easily be a parent or a student from a school district against which we are competing could sue us. Or, without limitation, any parent or any student in the state of Indiana. So once again, you've always got to look at these laws very closely and try and imagine all the potential consequences which could flow from the language that you're using. But the court case is gone now, and so as of right now, it is the law in the state of Indiana, and you should adopt a policy. One of the questions was, when it gets to the board level, should the board hold a hearing and take more evidence, or simply review the paper record that's been developed below? The way the policy is designed, it starts with the coach. That's where the grievance goes. If that's not satisfactory, it then goes to the building principal, who reviews it. If that's not satisfactory, it goes to Dr. Clendendi. If the grievant is still not satisfied, that's when it comes to you. And it strikes me by that time the factual record is going to be pretty fully developed. And it's hard for me to imagine a need for another hearing. So the way the policy is set up is, yes, you will review the decision, but you'll simply review the paper record. You will not have a hearing, hear witnesses, testimony, or anything like that. The record's already going to be well developed by the time it gets to you guys and ladies.
So please look over that. If any questions, let us know. Like I said, once again, this is just in compliance with the state law and what's before us. Additionally, adjunct teachers is another state law that is before us, and if you recall, we have the ability to hire anyone that's had at least 4 years of experience in the area that we're looking to teach and need an instructor. And this just sets up those parameters. And one of them is for the board to declare the need for adjunct teachers. And so what you will see probably in the coming spring months will be some of these positions that we are having a hard time filling and asking permission to post it also as an adjunct teaching position. The only content area that is not allowed to have an adjunct teacher is a special education teacher. Okay? And the last one I want to bring up is supplemental pay. If you recall, supplemental pay used to be for, AP coursework, dual credit, and some very difficult spaces in special education. We have never gone forward with supplemental education. The state did change that. Now it's basically for anything that we deem a need to provide supplemental education, supplemental money to our teachers to pay them to teach in that content area. This is new, and this is coming to you. Once again, it's first reading. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Okay, are there any public comments on the discussion items? All right. Any board comments? I know you guys did the FEC grants, correct?
I attached a spreadsheet that shows that 26 teachers were awarded FCE classroom grants this time at a total of $31,000. And that, in my tenure anyway, is a record amount. So, great job by the teachers, and FEC is doing a great job raising money on our behalf.
A few legislative updates just to bring your attention. One that we just heard about today was 1499, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that one could have substantial impact for us. And what that one looks at is any project that if your debt service was more than 80 cents and ours is 97 cents, would require us to have 2 public hearings and allow 30-day wait to see if anyone pick up a petition. And then if they did get their 500 signatures, it would go to the referendum. That's a substantial change looking at what takes place. And that would be for anything from a small geo bond of, I think, what did Jane say, of a very small project.
It could be a $500 roofing or $500,000 roofing project, and it could be a $50 million building project. So same process for all. So those geo bond just got a little more complicated.
And additionally, in Friday notes, I highlighted the violent, aggressive student in special education public service announcement. I want to thank Mr. Worland publicly because he gave up his time to go up to Indianapolis to speak on behalf of the teaching perspective. Good news out of the Ways and Means first hearing, it does look like special education funding is going to increase substantially, and they are aware of these needs. So that is one that they're looking at as well, and for us to continue to look at. Partisan election is still up as a potential. And so I did engage with Senator Walker, and it's actually out of Senator Walker's committee. And he told me there's still going to be a lot of work on that, but that is still part of one of the things. And I'm Mr. Young, if you know any more about that one or not, but that is up before.
Well, obviously, I mean, the fact that bills were introduced in both chambers sort of tells you where it may be going. I guess what I think doesn't matter. I'm pretty ambivalent. On the one hand, given our current climate, I can see why some people would think political affiliation should be disclosed. But as I understand it, if that were required, if a candidate had to declare R, D, or I, that would, for one thing, eliminate any state policemen from participating, because there are statutes against state police engaging in partisan politics. I don't know how many other public service sector employees, government employees, would all immediately be disqualified from serving on a school board. But that's something I think that they should keep in mind. I personally know one very good school board member that's an Indiana State policeman, and I know that school corporation would be very disappointed if he all of a sudden became statutorily ineligible to serve. So again, there's a lot of intended consequences anytime you pass a law.
Dr. Worland, any you're tracking?
I'm just going to give a couple updates on state testing. There are some other bills in the legislative session. It's so early for some of them, but there are still some bills, conversations around curriculum. Posting of curriculum, there's been some chatter about media, library books, those sorts of things. So there are some of those that we're watching pretty carefully to see kind of how they fall out after we get through some of the discussion process. So we'll keep you updated as that happens. Couple updates to the calendar on the state testing side. Just as a reminder, SAT day for us at the high school is March 2nd. So the juniors will be on site testing, many of them for about 4 hours, some of them with extended time for 5.5 hours that day. So due to the rules around SAT testing, it is a much different process than our normal iLearn or iRead, IM state testing. We will have the freshmen, sophomores, and seniors at home in a virtual environment. So they will be synchronous with their faculty. So it is not one of our 3 asynchronous days. iRead, we will start March 7th with our 3rd graders and March 9th with our 2nd graders. Well, there are over 70% of the schools in the state of Indiana are using iRead to test 2nd graders this year to give us a kind of a pre-assessment of how we're doing with reading instruction. That's actually a big topic in the legislative session right now, is the whole conversation around science of reading and the instructional resources and philosophies we use to teach reading, as well as textbook rental and how the state manages textbook fees and rental for families. So wait and see.
Calendar updates. This Wednesday night, we have at my FCS Academy, we have high ability, special education, at preschool, and C9. So really any program that's attached to us that impacts kids at K-12, at the K-12 setting. Thank you to Ms. Azat for being there. I think it's been a great program, and thank you for Mrs. Betts for doing that. We have no school on Monday with that. On Tuesday, we are beginning the interview process for Northwood. The job has been posted. The process is going to follow that Dr. Warland is going to lead in the first round of discussion. We'll have teachers, parents, and support staff in that interview process. They'll recommend a final candidate or 2, no more than 3, up to myself. I will interview them with Mr. Ahaus as well as the central office team, and then we will, I'll bring the final candidate to you. In March, I would like to have an executive session before the board meeting so you can interview the candidate, meet the candidate, and then vote on them in March, and then have that person in place before spring break. After spring break, I would want them to begin working with the staff and talking about next school year. So that's kind of the timeline that we're looking to follow on that. We do have a board retreat scheduled for the 28th. All-day finance. It's going to be exciting and fun, and so make sure you come. We are at REMC, and I believe lunch.
Lunch is Chick-fil-A.
Okay, so Tina will be getting the packets out to you probably within.
We'll post by the Tuesday before.
Okay.
You moved it up an hour, right? Did I see that? You changed the times?
Yeah.
That was for the exit conference. Oh, yes. We moved up time to 8 o'clock. We couldn't squeeze everything in.
Double check my calendar.
Yeah. It was 8 o'clock, and the reason is I needed about an hour for Earlywood. And if we kept it from that 9 to 3, I was not going to be able to talk to you guys about that. I was not going to have enough time. So that's why we had to do that.
It was either earlier or stay later, so we thought morning would be better.
Anything else on the board retreat?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you have a new date for the exit interview?
No, I haven't. We haven't heard back from the auditor yet. We're looking at the week of the 20th. I think we proposed a time on the 23rd. So just waiting on confirmation from the auditor.
Okay.
And the remaining dates we've already talked about with SAT, iRead, and spring break, March 24th through April the 3rd.
Okay. Is that everything?
Yes.
Okay. All right, for adjournment.